grand stately home on the outskirts of Wrexham. But are we plush poshers who should live upstairs, or shabby serfs who should know their place? If you don't know us, I'm Rachel, he's...
Simon?
Don't listen to a word he says. He's Wills and we are Postcard and a Pint. Now, we know you're near Wrexham, but where is this historic haven? Let's find out. Down narrow lanes just outside of Wrexham sits the mighty Erddig Hall. Work began on this impressive house in 1684, and we were excited to visit. Car all parked up. How's the weather looking, Rach? We have had terrible weather of late, so an inside visit was definitely on the cards today. Past the late 18th century Grade 2 listed dovecote, that's a very posh house for pigeons. It was all going swimmingly well until we saw this sign. There was to be no main house for us today, just the servants' quarters. Maybe we would be out in the rain more. Go on, get yourselves in and buy yourselves a ticket and tell us all how much it cost.
Well, we're in and we paid £10 each, £11 with gift aid. Normally it is £16, £17.60 with gift aid, but the upstairs of the house isn't open today. They're tidying it up after Christmas. So we could only see the servants' quarters, which is not a bad thing. We're not very posh. We probably belong there.
That's right. You keep below the stairs where you belong. Attached to the ticket hall is the joiner's workshop. Here, the skilled craftsmen would undertake all the woodworking projects for the estate. It's impressive stuff. And the weather? Oh dear. On we went past old tractors to the saw pit, where they chopped up massive trees so the joiners could have some wood to build benches and such. Next came the smithy, where metalworking would take place. Probably making loads of shoes for the many horses who lived here. Because
this hall was built before the motor car was popular and everyone travelled around in horses and wagons. And here we are in the wagon shed.
And a very impressive wagon it was too. I quite fancy being driven around in a horse and carriage. It seems so very regal. Although, knowing my luck, I'd end up having to be the horse. We had a quick look in the paint store, but it smelled of paint, so we left. Outside, in the pouring rain once again, we progressed to the sawmill. Apparently this was once a stable, but with the invention of the motor car and steam-powered engines, this gave us less horses and more proficient saws that chopped wood quicker and far more cleanly. Now this wouldn't be a National Trust property without a shop, or three. First up is a bookstore, which looked very cosy and had some interesting books. Apparently they grow over 140 different varieties of apples here and have an apple festival each year. But hold up, we've spied another shop. But is it truly Welsh? Sheep? Tick. Dragons? Tick. Yes it is. Down Erddig, and with Christmas decorations thrown in too. We window shopped and then braved the elements once again. They have a barn full of old farming implements. But I'm freezing and want to get inside. To the house! First up, the stables, which would have been full of horses back in the day. Horses not only pulled the carriages, but also pulled the farm equipment that worked the land. Just across the yard from the stables were the carriages, and these looked very grand. It must have been so cool to ride in them, and if I could have my pick, this would be my carriage. It would certainly keep the rain out. But move over horses, here comes the motor car. They have two really great cars here. This one, a Rover HP two-seater touring car from 1907, and this one, a 1927 Austin Clifton four-seater tourer car. OK, forget my horse and carriage, one of these will do me. Next door is a collection of bicycles, and the penny farthing has got to be the stupidest invention ever. I mean, how on earth are you supposed to get on that? That's more like it. Now finally, to the house. And all hail the National Trust and all who sail in her, a roaring log fire, champion. In this room is a history of the house and all its owners. As we go along, I'm going to try my best to fill you all in. Let's start with the fella who built it, Mr. Joshua Edisbury. He borrowed a lot of money to build it and went bankrupt in 1709. A fella called John Mellor bought it in 1716 and added the two wings. He left it to his nephew Simon York I. It was then in the York family for the next 240 years. Let's get inside. This first room looked like the bakery where all of the hall's bread was made. Now there's a pizza oven and a half. We wandered the dimly lit passage, taking in all the rooms along the way. That looks like a washing up room. Next was the new kitchen, a vast room and very grand. We enjoyed seeing the range, the pots and pans and the type of food that would have been prepared here. The jams and chutneys looked nice, but the pickles looked a bit dubious. Whilst we look at this grand room, let's carry on with the building's history. So Simon York I dies in 1767 and his son Philip York I inherits it. Now, Philip I started a tradition of collecting portraits, then in later years photographs of the servants, and you can see some of these in this passageway. Imagine what it would have been like in that time. The bell rang and servants scurried to serve their masters, grabbing an oil lamp along the way. The servants were treated well and with respect at Erddig. So time went on, and in 1804 Philip dies and his son inherits the house. You'll never guess what his name was, Wills.
Is it Philip?
Nope, it was Simon York II. This is the housekeeper's room and it looks really cosy. Check out the early vacuum cleaner, the witch dust extractor. Eat your heart out, James Dyson. Anyway, the family lineage. Simon York II dies in 1834 and his son inherits the hall. And what's his name?
Was it Philip?
No, it's Simon Wills. Simon York III. Simon York III made loads of alterations to the gardens, but we'll see more of those later. Simon dies in 1894, and who's next?
It's Simon, isn't it?
No, it's Philip. Philip York II. Honestly, Wills, do keep up. Amongst all the finery of this room is the weeping glass, an unstable glass that produces moisture. No thanks, that'll dilute the wine. Now that's more like a wine glass. Moving on. Back to the York family, and after the death of Philip York II in 1922, guess who took it over next? Now think carefully, Wills. You've got a 50-50 chance of getting this right.
Philip?
No, Simon. Honestly, have you not read a single sign since we got here? Simon York IV. And the poor lad was only 19. The estate was in serious financial trouble by now, and Simon became a recluse and basically holed himself up here and kept away from the outside world. On Simon's death in 1966, his brother Philip York III, inherited the house and began negotiations with the National Trust. And the Trust finally took ownership in 1973 and began a 4-year restoration project. Philip died in 1978, but he got to see Erddig returned to its former glory, and what a stunning place it is. So now, onto the extensive grounds. But first, let's have a little catch-up with Philip, Simon, Philip, Wills. What do you think so far, lad?
This has been really cool to see today. It's a shame the weather's like this, and it's a shame only the servants area downstairs is available. Oh, sorry, just avoiding the puddle. But really enjoyed it. But apparently, it's really pretty at Christmas. They do the whole house, all themed. So we're going to be back. You wait, we're going to be back.
We most certainly are. I guess January is not the best time to see the gardens, but you can still get a sense of how grand they are and how stunning they'll be in season. A really striking feature in the gardens are the pleached limes. Pleaching is weaving the shoots together by hand and trading them to shape. These limes make a beautiful shaded avenue when in full leaf. They certainly led a privileged life here as
They've even got their own boating lake.
we'd seen some of the punts and model boats in the hall, but I wouldn't fancy boating today. We'll leave that to Sir Quacks-a-Lot and his missus. What have you found now, Wills?
They've got another boating lake.
You can never have too many boating lakes or gates.
Now, we'd like to have got closer, and I don't know if you can see, but in the distance are a pair of iron gates, and these are by the Davis brothers of Bersham. And over our time of Postcard and a Pint, we've seen quite a few examples of their work, like Church Castle, St Giles's in Wrexham, the church at Ruthin. I think the most impressive, though, are definitely the white gates at Leeswood.
They are mighty fine, and the sunshine definitely helps. But before we leave this section,
Future H here, we've gone and had a hot chocolate, we've warmed up, and we've come for a little walk before we go to the car. And just round the outside of the site on one of the coloured walks, you can get round to the gates. But I stand by what I said, the ones at Leeswood were better.
it's still a pretty impressive view though. There are lots of different circular walks through the grounds of the estate, ranging from 1 mile to 3.5 miles, but a lot of the walks were closed off today. We still found plenty to see in the gardens. The Victorian greenhouses are not only very impressive, but already cultivating the plants that will be enjoyed by visitors all summer long. I think we both agreed that this must have been a wonderful garden to have had as a child. The games of hide and seek must have been epic. Right, over to you, Rach, and share some thoughts.
There's so much more of this place to see. It's massive. There's a huge woodland that's got the remains of an old Motte and Bailey castle in it. And we haven't seen the upstairs of the house either. We are definitely going to come back. We're still having fun, but I think we'll be back. And we'll be back at Christmas.
Which is not going to show you the gardens any better, but will make Wills the happiest lad ever. We went for a visit to the other side of the house, which was lovely, and the views aren't too shabby either. But the skies grew ever greyer. We grew ever colder. It was time to make our way back and find us a hot beverage. The cafe on site was open, and it was hot chocolates all around. They were a bit sweet, but they did the job. Have you thawed out yet, Wills? Good lad.
It's a few days later. Actually, it's Wills' birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Wills. I'm not going to tell you how old he is today. Anyway, we thought a lovely end to this vlog would be to go and see the churchyard where the York family, or some of the York family, are buried. We were too cold the other day, but today it's not a lot better, but it's a bit better. So come with us as we finish this vlog.
Not too far from Erddig, in a village called Marchwheel, is the church of St Denial and St Marcella. Inside, you'll find the York window. It contains 18 shields and 4 crests relating to the Yorks, Edisburys and the Cust families. All along the south wall of the church are memorials to the York family and their spouses. Having seen their family home earlier, all of these names jumped out at us as we remembered them from our time at Erddig. And it was nice to see that not everyone was called Simon or Philip. The family crypt is located just outside the York window and has these railings around it. In the churchyard itself is this large sandstone Celtic cross. This is a memorial to all of the Yorks, and some of them are buried here. Who have you found, Wills?
Is it Philip?
Yes, Wills, it is. And what an incredible legacy this family have left behind. Let's hand back to you, Rach, to round this up.
I think that was a really fitting end to this video. But now it's time to get birthday boy back home, and we'll see you for a catch-up. We're back.
We are indeed, but it all went a bit wrong.
Yeah, it's not his birthday anymore. That was yesterday. Unfortunately, I've picked up a stomach bug from either children or the teachers who work for me. They've all been ill this week, and I didn't feel great last night. Towards the end of the night, I woke up this morning. I was not good. I've been in bed most of the day.
Which isn't like Rachel at all.
I never stay in bed for the day. I did a little bit of writing this afternoon, but I'm feeling a bit better now. But I'm hot, I'm cold, so if I look terrible, my apologies. Right, over to you, Erddig. You can sum it up.
All right. Well, Erddig, we really enjoyed. Oh, look at Rachel on the tea. It's not dry January anymore, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Wrexham lager. We'll let you into a little secret. We did really, really well on dry January, but we did fail in the last week just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
We had a couple of damp nights in the last week. Anyway, I still think we did pretty well. Anyway, Erddig, both enjoyed it. You enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. It was a bit cold.
It was a bit cold.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable to see. It was a shame that they didn't have the upstairs.
Yeah, I would
done.
like to see that.
I'd love to see it at Christmas as well, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to go back.
The family history is really fascinating of the York family, and what almost like dynasty, a legacy that they've left to the surrounding area.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad we did make the effort to go out to Marchwheel yesterday.
Yes, on the way back, we went via Wrexham, because it's just outside of Wrexham.
Look what he bought.
We've got some birthday beer. Not my birthday anymore.
Right, on to future travels. It's getting exciting.
We're going on the ship on Thursday if Rachel's better.
I will be better. I intend to be better tomorrow. I don't do these illnesses.
You don't, do you?
No.
But you won't see that. You won't see the first ship video until, this is very complicated, until 2 weeks today. The reason being is we're away next Sunday. And we've got a vlog already planned for that. We haven't finished it yet, but we've got one planned.
Yep.
We get back the following Tuesday or Wednesday, which won't give us enough time to make a new one. So we've already been working on that vlog.
Yeah.
So the first ship vlog will be in 2 weeks' time, and then you'll see a load.
You'll see a load and see what we get up to.
Going to Amsterdam.
We are, and we're going on the P&O Ventura, which is a smaller one of P&O ships.
It's still pretty chunky though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm very excited to see, not like Iona was brand spanking new and, you know, all bells and whistles.
This one's a lot older.
But we'd always said we liked a smaller ship and we didn't like bigger ones, yet we then changed our mind on Iona. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I just hope I feel a bit better. I'll feel better tomorrow.
You will.
Right, let's round this up.
Okie dokie.
If you like this video.
if you'd do that, if you'd hit the button and leave a comment and do the subscribe thing.
Yeah.
Have you been to Erddig? Have you been ill?
Did you actually get in the house?
Did you get in the house? Give us a comment.
Yeah.
You know, give us a like.
We
give
do
us
like
a subscribe.
to answer everything.
We do indeed.
Right, let's round this up. Rachel needs to go back to bed.
She does. And I need to go and work on next week's video.
As we say.
In Postcard and the Pint, cheers to the good times. Well, hey, not dry January anymore. What do you call a can opener that doesn't work?
I don't know.
A can't opener!
Oh.